must be another way of doing the credits.
What's up, everybody? It's the Film Schmucks here. We're gonna jump right into the news, and This was my pick this week, and you guys can shit on me all you want. The thing was, Robin Hood Men in Tights. The thing is, just let me give you a little preamble of why I picked it. Me and Christy, I've seen more Mel Brooks movies than she has, but this was one that she watched when she was a kid. I watched, and I forget about this as a Mel Brooks movies, to be honest. One of his later ones, 1993. So I was like, you know what? I haven't watched this since I was a kid, probably. Let me see if it holds up. So it was fun to rewatch it again. And I have some staunch opinions about it.
Whoa. Well, I can't wait to hear them. And there's so many one-liners, so many jokes in this. We can't go through them all, but there's a few I wrote down.
Oh, I'm glad you did. I wish I had written some down.
I honestly think this whole conversation could just be about all the one-liners and which is what our favorite ones. The thing about this movie that I enjoyed the most, and you could say it for every other Mel Brooks film, is the fact that there is a lot of cheesy jokes. There's a lot of corny jokes, but God damn it, do they ever commit to it? Do they ever just embrace the cheese? And it makes the experience that more acceptable. And then you can just relax and laugh at the movie.
Yeah, it's silly, and it's just like, it's okay with, it doesn't take itself seriously at all, and it's just silly, and it looks like it must have been so much fun to do. But it's interesting watching this movie now. Is like, I think when I watched it, I'm like, man, when I first watched this movie as a kid, it had a huge influence. Like, Mel Brooks had a huge influence on me because I watched Spaceballs a lot as a kid, and I watched Robin Hood and Men in Tights might have been one of the other ones I watched. And when I was younger, I didn't even really know about directors. I didn't know it was Mel Brooks did both of them or whatever. It wasn't until I was in high school that I watched like Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein. But it's funny looking back at this movie and just how in subtle ways it really influenced like my humor and like the type of like content, like YouTube videos and sketches and stuff that I've made in the past. Just it's like, I think Mel Brooks and this movie is a great example of like, it's just okay to be silly. And him bringing silliness, he can just bring that kind of silliness. And some of it's clever too. Like, some of it's really silly, and then some of it's really, really just clever comedy. I know you were saying your favorite character was Sheriff Rottingham.
Yeah, because here's the thing. I think the actor is really good, but the material that Mel Brooks gives him, like, it's just kind of like, okay, this guy is probably a very well-seasoned actor, and probably a lot of that has to do with his British accent. So I'm just saying that. But he's kind of dumb. And he has to commit to that, and just some of the moments he has, like especially with Richard Lewis, when Richard Lewis is like, "I cannot take any bad news," and then Sheriff Rottingham was like, "Okay, well, I guess I could just tell you in a good way, in a positive way." And
that was so funny.
It's that whole just positivity while saying, "You're fucked," or like, "You're screwed. Robin Hood's coming after you." And then he just laughs hysterically. So good.
Uncontrollably.
It's funny seeing Richard. Sorry, I was gonna say it's funny seeing Richard Lewis as the king, because I mostly know him from Curb Your Enthusiasm, where he's just playing himself. And I know he did a lot of different acting stuff, especially in the 80s and stuff. And I've seen his stand up and I've seen him in Curved, basically. So seeing him play such a silly character was really fun. Like, especially since me and Christy are watching through Curb Your Enthusiasm for like a third time right now. And just, I loved his character, so funny. And one of my favorite jokes, this is one of the only jokes I remembered from this movie, rewatching it, is the mole on his face and how it's just in a different spot every scene. Like, almost every scene, it's at one point, I think at the end of the movie, it's straight up in the middle of his forehead. Like,
at the end. Yeah.
At the very end. I mean, there's so many jokes. Like Mel Brooks just packs these movies full of jokes.
Yeah, unstoppable. Yeah, and another thing I have like a lot of sarcasm in too, that I like, and backhanded comments, stuff like that. But going based on what Sterling was saying with his favorite character, going on that scene or where they kind of first acknowledge where he's I think in the tub maybe he's like, hey, was it your with his accent? His accent does it. But was it your mole on the other side? And how he says it is so funny.
Yes,
It's not even funny what he says, but and then people are like, oh, it was, and then but anyway. But with Richard Lewis, I'll just say one of my favorite lines of the whole movie, and it has to do with our channel, baby. When they're having the bow and arrow contest,
Yeah.
And they're sitting there, and the Rottingham's all pissed off, and Richard Lewis is like, he hit the middle of the board, schmuck.
Yes, I love that. Yes, that was such great delivery. Man,
Oh, so yeah,
you know who's I mean, I know
schmucks to the end, man.
Schmucks to the end. I should make like an edit of like that and put it in the intro. That would be cool. But you know who's a great character, like supporting character that was coming back was the witch or whoever, like that old hag who lived in the castle. And I love the intro to her because he comes over, he's like, I need to ask you for advice or whatever, and she goes, a newt's testicles, eyeballs, and all this stuff. She's putting it in, and then it's like, oh, are you like as if it's some spell, and then she goes, oh, that's just your breakfast or whatever. Like I just made you an omelet or whatever it is.
She says, I'm a cook, not a witch. Gotta go down the road for that.
Yes, that's what it was. Sorry. But that scene was great. By the way, I'll say this. I'll reveal it. I know we're barely into the episode. I'll reveal one of the hardest times I've heard Christy laugh in the last year, and I've counted them, times where she's had really loud laughs. One was we were watching White Chicks, and there's a part where Marlon Wayans' character has IBS, and he needs to go to the bathroom because he's lactose intolerant. And he goes, get out of my way, bitch, and pushes the chick over, even though he looks like a woman. And Christy laughed really hard. There's been several times, but this was one. The scene at the near the end when I think the Sheriff of Rottingham falls through the ceiling or something because the witch is praying. Or not the witch. She's not a witch, but she's like praying, like delivering or whatever, and he falls through the ceiling. And she jumps up and starts trying to have her way with him. And he throws her off. And then she just looks at the camera and she goes, I was so close. She's like, I touched it. And it felt like she ad-libbed that line. I touched it. And Christy just belted out laughing so hard at that scene. And that was funny. She was a great character. She only had a few scenes really, but it was funny.
Another joke with that one was when he gets up, when he's running away from her before she says that line. He's like, I've got a headache. I've got a headache.
Oh, I've got a headache. Yeah.
A flip on what women. Yeah. So
yes.
I love that.
I also wanted to say that, I mean, the guy who plays Robin Hood, he was also in The Princess Bride.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that guy, I think his name, I can't remember his name, but he's just really good. Especially, he makes a really good, like, serious facial expression.
Yeah.
Whenever, like, something not serious is happening. Or, like, perplexed expression. But, like, I love when his face is, like, or, like, we're doomed, or something like that. Yeah, and he's so serious. But, like, I don't know, that actor, he cracks me up quite a few times.
Yeah, he's perfect for Carl Lewis.
Yeah. Well, he had a little bit of a comeback recently with Stranger Things in season 3.
Oh, that's right.
That guy.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
So good to see him back.
Yeah. He kind of plays a straight man in the movie because he's sort of like the one that's serious. But let's talk. Should we talk about the Band of Merry Men, or what are they called?
Oh yeah.
The Men in Tights.
I can't remember.
We know what they are.
The Men in Tights.
They're the Men in Tights. Let's say that. I mean, first of all, it's kind of cool. Like when I watched this movie as a kid, I kind of knew Dave Chappelle from the Chappelle Show, maybe, but I didn't really know him that well. And it's like weird seeing a really young Dave Chappelle because, like, in this movie, as that character, like kind of his secondhand man. And they have a lot of funny lines, like even when they're so predictable, they're funny. Because when he's looking for him and he's getting attacked by all the guards, and he goes, "I'm looking for a chew," or whatever, and then all the guards turn and go, "Bless you." It's like that was so predictable, but it's so funny because it's just the delivery and everything, and the timing is so good.
It was funny too whenever he's getting beat up and he's like, I hope someone's filming this. It's like that's such a reference to Rodney King.
Right.
The Rodney King,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. Man, that was funny. Also, when they're fighting and he's like, "Watch my back," and he starts fighting, and Dave Chappelle just starts looking at his back. "You're good." You just got punched, or whatever he says.
Yeah. No, just the gags, the consistent gags that they use.
Nonstop.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember a time where I felt like the jokes fell flat. Like I didn't laugh at every joke.
Yeah.
But I feel like almost every joke was pleasing, if that makes any sense. Like
you had a little smile.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if it's because it's an older movie or what, but parody films like this have just never kind of attained that same quality from my perspective.
No,
probably from most people's perspective too. Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting topic, like parody films, because I feel like, even we've talked about this before, but like slapstick comedy, and which, there's a lot of kind of slapstick in parody because you kind of have to be outrageous. It kind of died, and I can almost pinpoint it. It seems like about The Hangover. I don't know what it is, but when The Hangover came out, I think that movie was like a defining of that decade of this is what comedies are going to be now. They're going to be a little more serious. We're going to get good cinematographers. We're going to get more serious directors. And but it's most of the time you see any crazy, wacky parody movies or anything, they're always kind of straight to DVD. They're kind of shitty. We had all of the Scary Movie spinoffs that kind of were shitty, and some of them were okay. And it's I think Mel Brooks was just really a really talented joke writer. And he's really good at timing. So like I said, the joke where he says "achoo" and all the guards turn and say "bless you," it's perfectly timed. And I think Mel Brooks is a great comedy director because of that. And also he's just a great quick joke writer.
Yeah.
And I feel like he puts a lot of care and quality into it, Well,
there's little jokes, the one that was one of the lesser jokes, but still I chuckled at was when Robin Hood's being arrested by the sheriff of Rottingham, and all the guards are around him, and he tells Robin Hood, "Okay, walk this way." And they all walk in the same way, the same fashion.
Right, like Aerosmith, I think. I think it was a reference to that, but I'm not sure.
Okay. But it was just funny because it's you didn't think that they were going to literally walk the same way.
Yeah.
The same fashion.
And they, you're right. And they definitely there's so many jokes like that are more subtle. They're not just going look, here's the joke. It's it happens, but it just keeps, the movie keeps going right along, They don't put all their eggs in one joke basket. It's we have so many jokes, we can just keep moving. So like you said, even when a joke wasn't laugh out loud funny, you didn't notice because you're already moving on to the next scene.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many that we can't even mention. For me, one of my favorite characters is Blinken.
Yes.
When we first meet him, there's
funny.
two things. He gets up and he tries to open the door and he falls through, and then he's like, "Oh, you lost your arm," and you grew some beautiful breasts.
Yes, you grew some boobs was so funny to me. I laughed so hard because it's so absurd. It's okay, you get the blind joke oh, you lost your arm, but to take it to the level of him going, "And you grew some boobs" is just so funny, so outrageous. Well, and it was just a perfect add-on.
Well, the last one that for me is that I laugh out loud was when he fell out of a tree. He's being a guard, which is hilarious. a watch guard. And he falls down and he stands up. I can see, and he runs into the
Yeah.
tree. And, oh, I was wrong again, or something like that. So ridiculous.
You know
That was so
what's
funny.
a great joke that was early in the movie too, was Maid Marian getting out of the bath, and she just got the lock chastity belt. Like already you're like, okay, that's hilarious. And the fact that that's like a key part of the plot, pun intended on the key. Like it's not even just a quick joke. It's like, no, that's literally part of the plot is that she has this chastity belt.
Yeah. So ridiculous. But I was just gonna say, Blinken, he actually has my favorite moment of the whole movie, and it's kind of early in the movie, but it's whenever Robin Hood comes back to his home, and of course they cart it away, which is hilarious, and he's just on the toilet.
Play.
Well, no, with the Playboy, that was great. But after that, whenever he's explaining to Robin Hood everyone who has died in his life,
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
it keeps
It was-
going.
it was so well written and such a great way to end the whole dialogue. What happened to Goldie, my goldfish? He was eaten by the cat. What happened to my cat? He choked on the goldfish.
Yeah. I forgot that was so funny.
So great for you to be back. And he like gets all happy, like you went through like the 7 people in his life that are dead. He's like, it's so great, isn't it great to be back again, sir?
In every
I love
interaction, like, I mean, of course it was so funny too when they have the scene where they're trying to cross the stream, and I can't remember his name, but the big guy,
Oh.
he
Little John.
Little
Yeah.
John, yeah, Little John is defending it, and there's just that part where Dave Chappelle's like, you don't even need to go across the bridge. Look, you could just jump across. It's not a big river or whatever. And then the guy's like, it's the principle of the thing. And when they have the fight and the things keep breaking and it gets smaller, and it's like, it's such a stupid joke, but when they're both with the little tiny sticks going like that, like really fast with each other, it's like, it's just funny. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
I think there's
And
something
he can't swim.
Yeah. Oh, I can't. Yeah, that where he's like, I mean, that's classic. And that's what I love about Mel Brooks is like, he can take something that you think is like, oh, here, like you almost, it almost should be cliche, or, it should almost be like, oh, that's stupid. You didn't put, it's like, but he does it in such a way, but that you're giggling, like you just can't help but laugh.
Yeah. I've got a question. So I've seen most of the Mel Brooks films, and I know in pretty much every one of them, there's always some kind of breaking the fourth wall or some kind of self-aware kind of scene going on. But I kind of felt that this movie, out of all of them, was the most breaking the fourth wall that I've seen out of any Mel Brooks films. Because I can think of like at least 3 different moments of when they break the fourth wall. Like the beginning, obviously the beginning, like they have to shoot our town every time they got to do the opening credits.
Yes, that was funny. Yeah. I forgot about
Why
that.
do they got to burn down their town? Yeah, and then of course, like whenever they're doing the archery contest, and the guy like beats Robin Hood, and he's like, "Is that in the script?" And he just like gets the script and he starts
Yes.
looking at
Yeah.
it, like. And then the film crew, they show the film crew that one time where Robin Hood stabs through the window.
Oh,
He
also,
stabs the guy's donut.
yeah, well, also, one of my favorite scenes is when Maid Marian is singing and the camera is slowly moving toward the window. And then it shows her singing, and then, like, all of a sudden the camera just crashes into the window. That was one of the funniest scenes I've seen like that. I'll say this. I think it's tied. It's either tied or maybe Spaceballs is a little bit more. Spaceballs has maybe the same amount of jokes, because there's the problem is there's an icon, or the only thing I'll say that maybe Spaceballs might be more is that there's an icon. One of the really popular scenes, or one of the funniest scenes to me in Spaceballs, is when they're trying to figure out where Lone Star and they're at. So the guy puts in a VHS copy of Spaceballs so they can fast forward through the movie. And then there's also the scene in Spaceballs where they're fighting and he accidentally yogurt. Yeah. Well, there's a scene where they're having the dual dark helmet and Lone Star, and he accidentally cuts the crewman and the crew,
Yeah.
whole crew's there. I think it's pretty comparable, but I think you're right though. After that, I mean, well, I don't know. That's just like a staple of Mel Brooks, I guess.
I know. It just kind of felt that way to me.
No, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it's like you said, the opening credit, like literally the first part of the movie is this sort of fourth wall breaking joke. So
yeah. The other thing too is I definitely saw some influence from like Monty Python, and probably a lot of that has to do with the aesthetic.
right.
You know, it's kind of the same aesthetic as like Monty
Holy
Python
Grail.
and the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Yeah. But definitely kind of the same kind of humor. Although, if I remember correctly, Monty Python didn't have as much breaking the fourth wall.
Not
but yeah.
really. Other
Anyway,
than the ending, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
I thought about Monty Python with the bridge scene, obviously.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely some influence there.
Um,
But let's pray for Spaceballs too. Like, let's pray that he's been
Quest
working on
for
the
more
perfect
money.
script the last 30. Yes, he's been working on the perfect script for 30 years. They gave me a year to live. I'm gonna film this bitch in 6 months. You know, something like that. Like, let's pray for it. I know it's unlikely, but please.
Hey, I'll try to talk to my sources in Netflix. We'll see what we can get done.
Yes. I mean, please do. I mean, you're well connected. Thank you, Sterling.
we get it. We get it.
Hey, you don't speak up there, Mr. Cheez-It. God bless America.
Yeah, sorry.
This guy. Well, here, let's plain and simple. This movie, it just delivers on every front. Like, I laughed out loud several times. Like I said, my favorite character, Blinken, like 4, 5, 6 times. I just out loud laughed. Yeah, and then, like Sterling said, there's not many that you don't chuckle at, you know, or find funny. You know, like there's nothing that really falls flat. I mean, I think there's one from Richard Lewis that fell flat. I forgot which one it was. Obviously, I don't remember. I like remembering the good ones. I know so one when he's in the tub and he's like, okay, blow off or whatever. They get the people blow in the water and they like blow off. You know, it was a bad joke. So there's, you know, not every joke lands, but good 95% of these jokes lands, and that's extremely hard for any movie. But that goes to show how good Mel Brooks is.
Well, I'm extremely hard during most of Mel Brooks movies, but I'll say this. I'm going to say something. You know, we've been talking for about a half hour of this review, and it's been nothing but positivity up until Trey.
Yes.
Trey dissed the joke. It's different than a lot of other film schmucks. I'm not turning heel or anything. I think this movie's funny. I have to say, there's a lot of Mel Brooks movies I haven't seen. So like I haven't seen a handful of them, but I've seen probably the big 5, like Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, Spaceballs, and I'm missing a couple, but there's a few that I haven't seen, right? So to me, of all the Mel Brooks movies I've seen, I do think this one is probably on the lower tier. Now, I think it's still great, but comparing it to other Mel Brooks movies I've seen, I think I don't know why it's hard to put my finger on exactly, but I do think this movie overall, just to me, it's probably in the lower end of Mel Brooks movies to me.
I thought you were just saying that it was either 1A or 1B with Spaceballs as the best.
No. I was saying Spaceballs. We were talking about which one breaks the fourth wall the most.
Yeah.
I think that it's good, but if I had to rank, I would say that this one might be at the bottom of Mel Brooks movies I've seen.
I've tried watching Blazing Saddles. I couldn't get through 15 minutes of it. I'll say that.
Because there's a black sheriff. Yeah, I know. Well,
yeah,
that's the whole plot.
I'll be heel.
Like that it's a black sheriff.
No, I don't care. I don't remember it. I just remember not liking it and thinking there was nothing funny about it.
I remembered it because right. Well, I remembered it because a black sheriff. I thought that was actually a really cool race thing. But I can understand wanting to forget that if you weren't into that. But that's
not it at all. I just didn't think anything was funny. Don't put that on me. I just think that I don't remember anything funny. I'll try to watch it again. I will. It was like 10 years ago. Almost 10.
100% the best.
Is it really? Is it really?
It's my favorite. I don't know if it's subjective,
okay.
but it's definitely my favorite. But yeah, I thought that was it is interesting, and the movie comes out later. Like this has to be one of the later. I was looking it up because I was curious. I was like, Mel Brooks is alive still. He's way older now. Mm-hmm. But I was like, what was the last thing he did? Because it's interesting. I'm like, we all know him from like the '80s movies, and then like '70s and '80s. But then I was like. And then Men in Tights is 93, and I looked it up, and the basically the oldest movie I saw really was a movie with Leslie Nielsen called Dracula. It was a Dracula movie, like a parody kind of Dracula parody. And I always saw that movie. I didn't know it was Mel Brooks, and then that one's the one that's got like 10% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like it's just really, so I think it's hard to tell. Is it that Mel Brooks kind of lost his touch as time went on, or is it that the world kind of moved on from parody style, the slapstick style jokes? Because like I said, I think that there's a certain point where if you make a parody movie now, even if it's really funny and clever, people don't the critics don't like it. I don't know what it is.
Well, I think the world's ready for it more than ever. I wouldn't have said this 2-3 years ago. I think he could come back and make a strong movie.
Yeah.
But I think, but going back to what you said earlier, where you feel the change was in comedy, just like Adam Sandler movies got less and less popular because comedy has changed. I think that's probably what happened. I could see that where just the world's view on comedy and their comedic sense of humor kind of shifted. And what year was that? When was his last film? What year was it?
I think it was 2000s maybe. I'll look it up real quick.
Yeah, because I'm interested because you said 2009 with Hangover was kind of, you felt a little bit of a shift in the air.
Okay, so sorry, Dracula Dead and Loving It is the movie directed by Mel Brooks, 1995.
Oh crap! So just 2 years after?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we're gonna have to watch that sometime, just out of curiosity.
Well, but yeah, that's so strange. He just stopped.
Well, I think there might be one after, but as far as I was looking it up, that seemed to be like the most recognizable one.
And I guess I guess I get it because Mike Myers, he just stopped when he got one bad movie. He's like, yeah, I'm just gonna go sit in my apartment and write.
Yeah.
After the Love Guru. Yeah, right. But he's coming back, baby. We're gonna have to watch all 3 of those little Austin Powers and get ready for it.
Are they actually gonna do that?
He's been writing. He's been working on it.
I've heard that rumor for about. I feel like it's been 10 years now of hearing about that rumor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no comment. I can't reveal my sources.
I guess
Vern Troyer, rest in peace.
I guess Austin Powers was the last good parody movie, right? I mean,
2003, right? Was Goldmember?
Scary Movie 1 and 2 were really good. At least the second one.
Yeah, I think the
Scary Movie 2. The second one to me is the best.
Yeah, and that was 2000s, right?
2006 or 7.
Yeah.
So around the same time. Yeah, it's hard to make parody movies. You guys are so right. And that audience we're the audience, obviously, but we still enjoy them.
Well,
but just weird. It's weird how it changes.
Yeah, I think what it is that I think it's like the type of humor in a Mel Brooks movie is it's dumb. It seems dumb, but it's actually clever. I think when people hear it, they go, ugh, as if it. I think at a certain point, audiences started hearing those types of jokes, and a lot of parody movies have those kind of slapstick kind of jokes. And Mel Brooks humor, I think people probably started thinking about it kind of like dad jokes or something, where it's like, they probably roll their eyes here, with this. And it's I don't think they realize how hard it is to write that type of comedy and how clever it is. And also the timing and everything, it's hard to pull off. And so, but I mean, it's an interesting thing. I'd like to see if anyone listening has any comments, I'd be interested to hear, like, is there any recent parody movies that have done well? Because I can't even think of a parody movie. I mean, I've seen like the kind of shitty straight to streaming service kind of like Haunted House or whatever, but
I was just gonna say that
Activity.
I thought Haunted House 1 was hilarious, and I just started watching the second one. It's still funny, not as good, but so like I said, I'm still the audience. I still crack up at parody stuff.
Yeah.
Like for me, Haunted House was hilarious, but for people, people change. Some people change more in their way of their entertainment. You know, that they can absorb. I guess people change. You know, me, I'm an idiot. I don't change. I still like Adam Sandler movies, and
you like what you like, you know.
Yeah.
And I think, well, to me, it's like I like I'm just a big fan of comedy, so I don't care what kind it is, and if it's slapstick or parody or whatever it is, or it's like, you know, or if it's a Hangover type, kind of more gritty, realistic kind of comedy. I like that too, and I think. But I do think that there is a thing of like popularity of like what type of comedy is popular at a certain time to a certain generation. And so my guess is that younger people, who feel probably old saying it this way, but like younger people, like teenagers and young adults and stuff, it's like they're probably, you know, they probably think when they hear some of these Mel Brooks jokes, they probably think like, oh, that's like a dad joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What was the last good comedy? Like really popular comedy?
That's been a good topic of conversation I've noticed. What was the last like really popular good comedy that everyone wanted to go see? Like I can't think. And I think, you know, part of it might be the kind of climate at the moment with like you have to be kind of more careful with comedy, but like it is weird. It's like comedy has taken a dive or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I could say Free Guy, but it was an action comedy. Like what was the last full on comedy? Because I would say that, you know, Hangover was a full on comedy. Yeah, there was some action, but it was just big, jokes that hit, throughout the movie. So yeah, I think there was one or two the last couple of years, but I can't. Like you said, they're not as memorable.
Well,
as we say Naked Gun, we say Austin Powers, stuff like that. Or Juicy Neil Gigolo,
Mine is probably What We Do in the Shadows is probably the last really good comedy that's a straight up comedy that I've seen. That was like 2014 though. You know?
Taiki?
Yeah, I think that movie's hilarious, but even once again, that's kind of an indie film though. You know what I mean? Like I can't think of a popular comedy. You could probably name some indies, but like was looking at 21 Jump Street.
21 Jump Street,
oh,
22 Jump Street.
Yeah.
What was that? 2016? What are we talking? 2016 for those?
5, 6 years ago. Yeah. It's so strange not being able to just like you said, like Austin Powers, like these just pure comedies that there's nothing anymore because there's a lot of combos now. Big things are drama. There's drama comedy now. There's like Parasite was kind of a comedy too, but it was a comedy thriller. There's so many combinations now. It's not kind of hard to pinpoint what movies have recently been just comedies that have been popular. I can't think of any.
I just looked up on IMDb a list and curious what you guys think of these because it's kind of it's almost funny. I just typed in this is IMDb's the best comedy films of the 2010s. Number 1, Despicable Me.
What?
Yeah. Wait. This might be specifically 2010, not the 2010s.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, okay, that makes more sense.
Do recent comedies or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, because
I did 2010s. So Deadpool, that's actually a pretty good.
Yep.
That's actually a pretty good one. So that's 2016, and that's
like I said,
it's. I know what you're saying. It's action comedy.
A comedy.
It's action comedy. But it's more comedy than not. These are
no, I get it. I'm just talking. Like, there's romantic comedies. That I don't remember anything recently that sticks out.
Yeah,
like 21, 22. Crazy. That's a romantic comedy. Like
Okay, but
that was funny. I
21
liked
Jump
it.
Street though, that's like if we're playing this game, that's an action comedy. Um,
That
Grant,
I see. There we go. We all
you're
look
right.
at things differently.
Well, you're right
Yeah,
though,
we
because
do.
there's a movie like Superbad, right? It's 2008, one of my favorite movies of all time. That's just a comedy. You can't really add anything else to it. It's not an action. It's hard. Now, I do think there's probably a lot of like indie comedy films that are good, but yeah, as far as like blockbuster hit,
Good Boys. Good Boys.
Good
Remember
Boys,
that?
Good Boys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Yep.
It didn't catch on like fire, but it was a good one.
Yeah.
Man. But yeah.
Anyway, back to the
parodies don't
movie.
work. Yeah, back to the movie. Yeah, parodies aren't working anymore.
Yeah, they're not. Hopefully they'll get better, but yeah. I was just gonna say,
The Quest for More Money.
no, there's one nitpick that I do have, and that is, I think all the songs were funny. I just think there was one too many songs, especially at the end when you see the same rappers pretty much do the same song.
I didn't like
not the
those
exact same
guys.
thing.
I gotta be honest. I get the joke that it's rappers, that's the 90s, so
Doing ballerina stuff.
it really annoyed me. The little that was funny.
Yeah.
But the in between stuff where it was like Robin Hood's here and he's gotta save that girl and eat her out or whatever it is. Like I just didn't like get the I just didn't get the, I didn't care for that joke too much because it was a little like cringy. But
yeah, the ending was bad too. Like they're like, and now Robin Hood saves the day. Like what or what? I can't even remember. It was so bad. It was so random to put it back in there.
Yeah.
Sterling, are you saying you liked it?
No, I enjoyed it overall. I'm just saying that it was kind of one too many songs. That was my negative.
All right.
What speaking of the songs, what did you think of when Robin Hood starts singing that love song to Maid Marian and all the men in tights are watching from behind the curtain?
That's good.
It was funny, and they all get disappointed because they literally. It's a weird moment actually because the implication is that all of these men in tights are waiting for them to like bang and they're like eating popcorn like we finally get a good show out here in the woods, and then like it turns out that it's not his sword or whatever. He puts the sword away or whatever, and they're all like, "Oh, it's like what you're gonna watch him fuck out in the woods? What the hell?"
Hey, people like to watch. People like to watch people have sex.
They didn't. Yeah, that's true. They didn't have porn back then. They had, you watch behind the shadows behind the curtain.
They had ye olde Pornhub. That's what they had.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Speaking of that scene, I got to mention another joke that was funny was when Maid Marian's like, and I would give up my virginity to the man that I truly love. And then she keeps going low, like the standard gets lower every time. She's like, or maybe someone who I find very attractive, or maybe like it just kept going like to the point where you're like, oh, she's kind of a whore.
Okay, probably my favorite moment with Robin Hood, and it's probably because I'm a historian, like a history buff. But it's when he gives the speech. He gives the speech to everyone, and then all of a sudden he goes into Winston Churchill's speech about Dunkirk. I thought that was freaking hilarious.
Okay.
And everyone just starts going his foot.
That's hilarious.
We can beat them at the stores.
Right. I didn't know that was specifically what it was parodying or whatever, but it was funny.
Yeah, it was good. Anyway, that's all I got.
What do you think?
I don't know
Should
what you
we
guys
wrap
have.
up?
Yeah,
I think we should.
All I know is I laughed a lot, and I don't. It's been so long since I've seen the movie, and so sit down and actually watching it all the way through, and all these kind of famous lines, all these one-liners. It was so fun to just laugh throughout a whole movie and not get let down or not get bored. So it's a very enjoyable film. I loved it.
I think that's a great way to put it. It's enjoyable. Like you can't. it's almost one of those things where you almost don't have much to say about it because it's just like it executes what it's doing like so well. It's just like let's take the Robin Hood setting and make it Mel Brooks style, it's a really it's if you're a Mel Brooks fan, it's a must watch. You have to watch it. If you're a comedy fan, I think you should watch it. I think there's just so many good jokes in it. But if you just want to have an enjoyable hour and 40 minutes, put it on. It's just it really is just a like Sterling said, even when the jokes aren't landing, they kind of make you feel good. You're just smiling. It's a feel good kind of comedy movie. So
yeah, and maybe at the time it wasn't looked on favorably by the critics, but I definitely believe it's become a classic Mel Brooks film. And the worst thing I can say about it is that I like Spaceballs better, but to me, there's not a huge difference between them in terms of overall quality and enjoyment. And I think it only had one thing to do, and that's to make you laugh. And it made me laugh pretty hard several times, chuckle pretty much throughout the whole movie. And yeah, I definitely could just watch this movie just as a casual viewer and get as much enjoyment as if I was watching it intently. So that's all I gotta say.
Oh yeah. Well, this was a great pick by Matt. I love it. And man, comment. We need some comments. Talk about what your favorite parody movie is, what your favorite Mel Brooks movie is. And I know the two people we talk about, the feud of the century, ABIJ and Nostalgia, they've been sleeping. I don't know where they are at.
I think they took each other out. You know what I'm saying? I think they
yeah.
They both probably use Bitcoin to hire assassins online and kill each other or something. Because what are they dead? Oh my god!
Oh, come back! All right, hey, like, subscribe, and be there next time with this film Schmucks.
I'm gonna go use the John.
Got it.